Let's make it simple. Let's just try and figure this out. Let's just look at the numbers. Let's just look at the votes. Now, America has this weird system where they have the amount of people that vote, but they also have this thing called the Electoral College, and then that's a separate thing. So, for instance, in 2016, Trump did actually not win the popular vote. Hillary Clinton did. She won more votes than Trump, but Trump kicked her ass in the Electoral College. So that's why he became the president. Now, you can go and look up these numbers and make sure I'm not wrong. Just to clarify, in 2016, Donald Trump got 62,980,000-something votes, and Hillary Clinton got 65,800,000 something. So they're so nearly up to the next million that I'm just going to call that Trump 63 million and Hillary Clinton 66 million. I'm just rounding it up because they're so close. So don't tell me I'm wrong about that. I'm just trying to keep things as simple as possible and give you nice solid numbers. 2016, Donald Trump, 63 million votes. Hillary Clinton, 66 million votes. 2020, Donald Trump, 74 million votes. Joe Biden, 81 million votes. 2024, Donald Trump, 77 million votes. Kamala Harris, 75 million votes. Now the question is, what the fuck happened there? Here's a good question, actually. Ready? Is it crazy to believe that the 2020 election was rigged? Or is it more crazy to believe that Joe Biden, who is not popular, by the way, he didn't campaign, no one ever liked him, he's run for president many times and failed miserably, isn't it more crazy to believe that he won 81 million votes, more votes than any president's ever got in the history of time, and now we've had another election and neither candidate got that many votes? Woohoo! Why? What the fuck? So check this, ready? I've got this thing in my brain called a memory. And I remember shit that you've probably forgotten. And people that believe that Joe Biden won, I've noticed a lot of times they don't even know that he got 81 million. When I tell them that, they go, what? That's actually pretty crazy. Yeah, it is fucking crazy. So let's just delve into this a little bit. I remember the reasons people gave for why Joe Biden did get that astronomical number of 81 million. Here were the reasons in 2020. Reason number one, oh, it's not a vote for Biden. Like, we know he's not that popular. I mean, come on. It's a vote against Trump. It's just people hate Trump. So they were just saying that after 4 years of Trump, they hate him now, and they're voting against him. Oh, and then there's loads of new voters. People that don't normally vote. Maybe they were too young last time and they're voting now. Maybe they weren't really tuned into politics in 2016. But after 4 years of Trump, oh, they're ready to vote now. They're going to vote that bastard out. They're getting rid of Trump. So they're not voting for Joe Biden. They're voting Trump out by voting for Joe Biden. Reason number two was, oh yeah, well, Trump's response to COVID was so bad that even people that previously liked Trump are done with him. They're like, oh, no, we can't have this. So same reason, they're voting against Trump. They're not really voting for Biden, and it's because of the COVID response. So there's even people that like Trump previously, but they don't like him anymore. So they're voting against him. Now, even back then, in 2020, I used to say to people, wait a minute. If the reason why Trump lost is because his response to COVID was so bad and people switched off of him, how come he's gained votes since 2016? He only got 63 million in 2016. He got 74 million in 2020. He's gained 10 million supporters at a time that you're saying he's lost support. People have switched off of him because of the COVID thing. But then they could always argue that they can go back to reason number one, which is, oh, in 2016, there was a lot of people that weren't tuned into politics. After Trump, they've got into it. So even though Biden got loads of votes because of that, also Trump gained a lot of support too, which would kind of explain why both parties have gained more than 10 million votes. Okay, that explains that. But now we have a problem, don't we? Oh, Oh no, because now we've had the 2024 election. And if all the shit that you said in 2020 was true, then wouldn't it translate to now? And it hasn't. Because Kamala lost, Trump won, and he only won by a couple of million votes. And neither one of them even got anywhere near 81 million. So where have all of these fucking voters gone? Let's go over it again. 2020, Joe Biden got 81 million. Donald Trump only got 74 million. Fast forward to 2024, Donald Trump's got 77 million, which is only a few million more than he got last time, but he still got more than last time. And Kamala Harris has got considerably less than Joe Biden. And if you believe that there is such thing as voter fraud and election rigging, I would say they still tried to rig it this time. She didn't get 75 million. No one likes her. No one likes Biden. But let's not get into that. Let's just look at the numbers for what they are. Let's just take these at face value and take them as for granted, right? These are the numbers that I've got to work with. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible, remember? So Kamala Harris gets 75 million and Donald Trump gets 77 million. And now we've got new reasons. I've heard the reasons for this. I've heard them. The reasons are people are racist and sexist, and they don't want a female person of colour as president. And I'm like, well, first, whoa, back the fuck up. Wait a minute. Rewind. Hold up. You do realise you're talking about the Democrat candidate, right? You do realise that I'm sure that according to you, the racist, sexist people are Trump supporters, no? They wouldn't vote for Biden or Kamala Harris. So what's up with the Biden 81 million votes back in 2020? Oh, they're suddenly racist and sexist now. They voted for Biden because he's an old white man, but they don't want Kamala, so a load of people flaked out. What, you mean a load of Democrat voters are racist and sexist? Or according to you, shouldn't they love Trump? So shouldn't he have like 81 or plus votes? 81 million and 85 million or something. This doesn't make any sense. So here's why I wanted to emphasise that I have a memory and I remember things, because you clearly don't, all right? You don't remember the excuses you made for the Joe Biden 81 million votes. And that's why you don't realise that your shit doesn't work now. Ready? Let's go over it again. You said that more people are into politics now, more people vote now. That's why there's a massive jump, massive leap, massive upscale since 2016 to 2020. So have they all just like dropped off? Have they just like lost interest? Oh no, it's not a vote for Joe Biden, it's a vote against Trump. Well, newsflash, Donald Trump is still the candidate in 2024. Shouldn't they hate him still? If their reason for voting Democrat is to get rid of Trump, it's the same Trump now as it was in 2020. Or maybe they decided they like him now. Well, in which case, shouldn't Trump have north of 80 million votes? But he doesn't. So I ask again, where the fuck are these voters gone? Oh, people switched off of Trump in 2020 because his response to the COVID pandemic was so bad. And even though he lost loads of votes because of that, he also gained a load because of the COVID deniers. And then Biden gained a load because of the sensible people that want a good president that's going to deal with pandemics. Well, that was only 4 years ago. Has everyone forgotten that? I don't think you understand the problem here. The problem here isn't how come the voters have switched. They haven't switched. The problem is, where are the voters? There's a bunch missing. They've all disappeared. Also, the people that voted against Trump because they hate him, shouldn't they hate him more now? Because there's been more things that have happened since 2020, like January 6th, the attack on the Capitol, the insurrection, the threat to democracy. He's a fascist. He's trying to overthrow the election. Because it wasn't that really the election was already rigged and he was trying to get it back. It wasn't that. It was he was trying to overthrow the election. And also we've had Trump's a criminal. He's a convicted felon. He's only running for president to stay out of prison. So isn't Trump's reputation supposed to be 10 times worse now? There should be more people that just vote against Trump and they don't care who the other candidate is and they just want to get rid of Trump. So the reason for so many votes for Joe Biden in 2020 is that people hate Trump that much they're just voting against Trump. They don't want a president that can't deal with a pandemic, and more people are into politics now. That's why there's so many voters. But in 2024, they suddenly don't care about any of that stuff and are also suddenly racist and sexist. And they're going to let who they think is Hitler be the president. They think Trump's Hitler, and they're going to let him be the president. And if there's another pandemic, they don't care what happens. Or they're suddenly not interested in politics anymore. But what, because the candidate's different? It's the same fucking candidate, still Trump. It's the same dude as 2016 and 2020. But they're going to let him be the president. They're not going to bother voting for Kamala because they're just racist and sexist now. They hate women and people of colour so much. And these are Democrat voters, remember? The same ones that voted for Joe Biden, supposedly. I don't think you understand that when you go with the racist and sexist excuse, that's why they didn't vote for Kamala. You are basically claiming that if Joe Biden was still fit to run for president and if he just carried on campaigning, he would have got like 83 million votes. But because they switched it to Kamala, they suddenly don't care about how Trump is Hitler and he can't deal with pandemics because they just hate women and people of colour so much. This is what you're saying. You seem to be missing the point that all of your excuses for why Joe Biden got that many votes is he's not that popular, you know that no one likes him, they just don't care who the candidate is, they just want to get rid of Trump. In which case, why would they care what colour or what gender Kamala Harris is? They knew that Joe Biden was a piece of shit, but they just wanted to get rid of Trump. So why would they care what Kamala's doing? Where are all of these voters? Where are they, motherfucker? Where are they? Where are these votes that Joe Biden got? I mean, it couldn't be that they were a load of bullshit and he didn't really get 81 million votes. And it's all fraud. No, it can't be that. It's impossible because you've been told that it's impossible for some reason. You've been saying that it's impossible that the election was rigged for the last 4 years. Here's the other thing is now you've got Trump supporters going, yeah, look at this, it was obviously rigged in 2020. And then the Democrat voters say, well, if we could rig it in 2020, why wouldn't we just rig it again in 2024? It obviously wasn't rigged in 2020, otherwise we'd just rig it again in 2024 and then Kamala would be the president. They see the 2024 election as proof that the 2020 election was not rigged. And I'm like, well, no, it's pretty simple, really. Some crimes can be stopped just by having someone there watching you. And there was Republicans all over the fucking country watching everything, making sure it wasn't rigged this time because of last time. So let's say someone walks into a shop and there's no cameras and there's no security guard and the shopkeeper seems to always be busy doing something out the back or whatever. So that person keeps going in the shop and stealing things. Turns out sometimes all you got to do is put a camera there or put a security guard there, and just having someone there watching you will stop you from committing the crime. You're not going to try and steal something right in front of the security guard. Sometimes it's that simple to stop a crime. It's just put eyeballs on what's going on. So after 2020, you better believe that every single Republican across the whole country was watching everything. So that's why you didn't get away with it in 2024. But once again, let's not get into the details. Let's just look at the numbers, keep it simple. It's impossible to rig an election. Remember, that's what you were told. We've been told. There's no way it was rigged, okay? There's no way it was rigged. It's impossible. By the way, here's another thing about impossible to rig an election. Russian collusion. Here's another memory that you've lost. I have a memory in my brain, and even if my memory didn't work, if I had no memory like you, I've still got the internet. I could just go back and look at things. It's all still there. You can still go back and look at this shit. Have you forgotten what Russian collusion means? Well, Trump colluded with the Russians, and that's why he was under investigation. Colluded with the Russians to do what? To rig the election. That's what the claim was. Everyone's forgotten. They still remember Russian collusion, but they've forgotten what the claim actually was. The claim was that he colluded with the Russians to rig the election, and he's not really the president. the claim. Oh, well, just because a couple of people said it, it doesn't mean it's the same as people, attacking the Capitol and having a big riot and trying to overthrow the election, isn't it? Because I think what the Democrats did was worse. They got everyone and all the king's horses and all the king's men against Trump, saying he's colluded with the Russians, he's an illegitimate president, he's not really the president, we need to get rid of him, we're going to remove him, and he's going to be leaving the White House in handcuffs. That's what they were saying. And they were going for it. But that's obviously nowhere near as bad as breaking some windows at the Capitol building on January the 6th, is it? I love it that you can try and dress up January the 6th as whatever you want, all right? You can show all the video clips of the riots. And by the way, most of those videos of riots are actually just police throwing smoke bombs into a crowd of people and then everyone starts running around like crazy. And you've just seen that clip over and over again, haven't you, of the smoke everywhere and people going nuts. So you think that that's rioters like setting fire to stuff? There was no fires, all right? And you were told that 4 police officers were killed in the riots? Not true, they weren't. Completely made up. The only dead person at the end of it was, I think there was 2 dead people, both of them were female Trump supporters. One of them got shot, the other one got trampled on. And it's like, you can show the videos from any angle you want and any clip you want to try and make it look as bad as possible. It's like, well, forget that. Just see what the aftermath was. What was the end result? The end result was none of these politicians got hurt. Because the claim is that everyone was there to kill politicians and it's an insurrection and they're going to take over the government or something. And it's like, well, what actually happened at the end of it? It was some broken windows. It's basically vandalism. Happens every day. Oh, but it was at a government building, though, so it's more important. Well, that happens all the time as well, actually. It's usually Democrats that do it. And they usually do set fire to the place, actually. The end result is you're actually talking about some broken windows. That's this big fucking scary insurrection that you're banging on about for years. That's why Trump's a fascist and he's Hitler. So anyway, there is actually tons of reasons, millions of reasons to suspect that the 2020 election was rigged. They even changed the way they do elections that year because of COVID and we're going to do it differently now. Nothing to see here though, there's nothing weird going on. But I'm just saying, forget all that. And you're not allowed to present any of that on Facebook or YouTube or any of the news programs that you watch. The amount of interviews I've seen where the interviewer asks the person if they think that the 2020 election was rigged, and they call it the sanity test. Like, if you think it was rigged, then you're insane. And it's like, this is pure gaslighting. You're actually insane if you think that Joe Biden won 81 million votes. And there's so many Trump supporters, even Republicans that are actually on the Trump team now, and he's in office now. But they're still scared to say in public that they actually think it was rigged, because they've been conditioned that this is like the worst thing you could ever say. Why is that? Well, I always tell people, look, how do you rig an election? Easy, you just commit every single type of fraud possible. It's like if you want to steal alcohol from your parents when you're a teenager, if you steal a bottle out of the alcohol cabinet, they're going to notice. They're going to go, where's that fucking bottle gone? But if you just steal like an inch out of every single bottle, they won't notice. And that's how you rig an election. You just commit multiple different types of fraud, just a little bit everywhere. And each little bit doesn't really amount to much, but altogether it does. That's how you rig an election. Big question is, how do you get away with it? Well, it turns out the way you get away with it is, if anyone says it was rigged, you just say, you're not allowed to say that. Which is what they did. You just crucify anyone who says it was rigged, and that stops anyone from saying it was rigged, doesn't it? If no one's saying it's rigged, and everyone's saying it's not, then it wasn't. The truth is, it's completely ridiculous to believe that Joe Biden won that many votes. But the lie has to be maintained. Because they don't just need to cover their arse and cover the fact that the last 4 years has been a complete fantasy land of fakery and Joe Biden shouldn't have ever been the president. It's not just to cover that up. It's all of this stuff they got against Trump. He's the insurrectionist. He's trying to overthrow democracy. He doesn't care about election results. He wants to just win even when he lost. No. 2020 was rigged. Joe Biden did not win. They tried to rig 2024, but there was too many people standing in their way. And this time, Donald Trump was too big to rig.